Cody Dziak, welcome to the Called the Cast podcast.
That's got a ring to it, Called the Cast podcast.
You like that?
I like that. So this is my first. I've watched podcasts, but I've never even been on one.
So Cody and I have a pretty interesting introduction to each other, and it's something that resembles kind of why I got into Called the Cast. And we'll jump into that. But first, let's learn a little bit about you. What do you do outside of fishing? Tell us about yourself.
So outside of fishing, I'm kind of like all over the board. More or less, I'm probably like a working prog mess is probably what I would classify myself.
Prog mess?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I got that word. So funny, long story short, there's a TV show.
Okay.
I'm not really big on TV shows. I just hate how there's like too many episodes and there's like filler episodes. Well, long story short, there is a show called Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Great show. Where I got the working prog mess word from is him. Somebody asked him how he was doing, and he said, I'm a working prog mess, and it's more or less been my life in like the past, I don't know, since I left high school. Like
Okay.
I graduated in 2013. And when you're in school, you think life's going to work out this.
Oh, yeah.
And
Youthful ignorance.
yes, youthful ignorance. Yeah. Like, and the funny thing is like, I went to college. So everybody told me what to do, so that's what I
Right.
did,
Right.
Figured out that wasn't for me. Actually went and left college to become an EMT. Became an EMT. Did that.
Nice.
Figured out that wasn't where I was supposed to be.
It's a hard field to stay in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hard. The thing that kind of did it for me was just, it's the system. But people get taken advantage of in the system, and when you're dealing with someone's life, I just think you have to care, and if you don't, I don't feel like it's the right field for you.
Right.
And honest to God, like I still wish part of me was doing that, but I ran a call on an individual that we shouldn't have ran on. We were taking him from a hospital to a nursing home, and he had COVID and pneumonia, and I'm like, What are we doing? We're taking somebody from where they should be to where they're not. And it just didn't make no sense. Well, we got to the nursing home. The person said, we know. And he has to stay here for a day or two, and then we'll send him back. And I go, well, if you know why? She goes, his insurance has to reset. Mm-hmm. And that was it for me there. I was like, this is a great thing to do. It's a great service. But I'm like, even though you're not going to run into those calls all the time, it would be an oddity. It just rubbed me the wrong way, and I couldn't do it. I was like, so had to. When I left that job, that's what I was going to do. I was going to be an EMT, work my way into fire, become a paramedic, and do that and fishing on the side.
Yeah.
And when that happened, oh my gosh, I went into a big depressive state. Ooh. And luckily I had somebody to help me through it that is no longer with me now. They're still alive, just we're not together anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I recently lost the person that was with me for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And great person. I just don't think we were where we wanted to be in life. And
gotcha.
Stuff happens, but she helped me through that. And then ever since then, I've just kind of been doing this and that. Right now, I'm helping a buddy doing roofs, getting to learn that. One of my neighbors, he owns, sells, and delivers industrial-sized sewing machines. Sewing machines that are like as big as this table.
Wow.
And we have gone pretty much across the whole country. I've been to Minnesota, Nebraska, Tennessee, Alabama. We have a trip to San Diego. So I'm doing like anything and everything. And honest to God, I'm just doing whatever he puts in front of me.
Yeah.
Like I had that mentality when I got out of high school. Yeah. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And it just hasn't worked that
I think
way.
that's a common story for a lot of people. You have your plans set in front of you. You have your life path. and then you kind of get released into the real world.
Yep.
You find out more about yourself,
Yep.
and then what is set in front of you. You realize, I don't want to necessarily call it the path of least resistance, but you find out what you're called, and it seems like life shapes it for you.
Yep.
And the less you try and push back on that and step into what I consider like God's calling for you,
Yep.
you find out you not only become a more productive person, you find out you become emotionally happier.
Yep.
With Called to Cast, I always thought fishing was something, it wasn't going to pay the bills. I had high hopes and dreams out of this. So I kind of used it as a hobby.
Yeah.
But out of that birthed, like through faith, birthed this idea to start a community that connects the mental health, the spiritual aspect of why we're seeing God in nature, why this is such an oasis for us to go fishing, why people will open up, tough guys out on the water over a fishing trip, yet shut down in a therapy session. There's something, I just feel there's something about fishing that is a perfect medium to not only discuss mental health, but to discuss faith and further in your faith.
Yep.
And so my next question was going to be, so what do you think pulled you to fishing? A lot of people say, it's my way away from stress. But what you just described to me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like you answered it. You had a high-pressure life, a high-pressure career you're going through. But fill in the gaps. Like, what drew you to fishing?
Well, to kind of hit on what you said, when I was going through school for EMT, we went through the whole class, and there was like the last chapter or two we went through in the book, it hit on exactly what you said. Being an EMT, doing stuff like that, you're going to see stuff that you don't want to see. You're going to see the nasty, the ugliest part of life, and how you cope with it is by having hobbies, having things that you enjoy. Now, to some people that could be fishing. For me, it's fishing. But others, it could be playing golf or going and watching a movie or this or that. You have to have that avenue because...
I've yet to find a peaceful round of golf, but
Well,
maybe I'm too competitive.
Well, what's funny is I play...
It's always disappointed me.
Yeah. Well, what I play... No, it's funny. A buddy of mine... during COVID, I picked up disc golf.
Yeah.
And, when I was like, Frisbee golf, I was like, are you kidding me? Look at these guys out there. Well, he took me. And the thing that hit me with disc golf is you can go out in an hour or less and do it and then get right back to your life.
Right.
Like fishing, like if we hook up the boat, I mean, that's the day, that's the whole day right there.
That ETA is a question mark for, I guess more like estimated time of departure from the lake is always a question mark.
Well, it's like the what's it called? There's a meme about it. It's
I think I'm thinking of the same one.
When you tell the missus, I'm going fishing for half a day, and that old phone starts to ring at about noon, and I thought she was only fishing for half a day. And then the guy goes, well, now you get to educate her that 12 hours is half a day. No,
I saw one the other day, and it said, don't let people talk you out of that 30-minute fishing trip because that 2 hours could be the best 5 hours of your life.
Yeah, well, what's funny about you saying that, so little short story that I'll tangent in because of what you said.
Yeah.
So my dad passed away 5 years ago now, and that was one of the hardest things that I ever had
imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the thing was, I was even sadder about it. He was 57, and he retired 3 months prior. He was literally going on his first vacation trip. He was leaving the next day to go down to Athens.
Yeah.
He was going to take his RV, the bass boat that I was in. It's actually his. I call it mine now, but it was his boat. And literally they had dinner. We're there till 8, came back home. He had died. He had a heart attack, fell asleep. And the crazy thing is why I'm bringing this all up. The last time I went fishing with him, we were on Athens. And we drove down there, me, my fiance at the time, and our dog. We drove down there. He did not want he was, I don't know, he's very meticulous. He was a mechanic. So,
Okay.
so he didn't want the dog in the camper. And I was like, Dad, if you want to go fish, they cannot sit outside for 5 hours while we go fishing. I said, you
Right.
have to and he's like, oh, he was so mad. He was so mad about it. And we're like, look, we have her little pop-up kennel. We can put her in it. She won't tear up. And she's a great dog.
Oh, yeah.
A great dog. And so they went in. Well, my ex was like, look, I don't like this situation, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, something told me, I was like, I need to go with him. And I don't even know why I felt that way, but I did. And like, he was mad. She was frustrated about the dog and the whole situation. Well, long story short, we went out fishing. We caught a Lake Athens limit. We caught 4 little ones.
There you go.
And we caught 1 5-pounder plus,
Very
and,
nice.
it was
They're hard
just
to
like,
come across.
oh yeah. Well, Athens is Athens. I mean, it's where I cut my teeth at bass fishing. And a lot of people don't like it. I mean, because it's grass. It's loaded with grass. I mean,
You're
and
there to fish 1 or 2 styles, maybe 3.
maybe 3, and the thing is it's like the grass changes every year. Where I caught my double at, since those years, it has just not been that same. I mean, the year I caught my double digit there, we caught a double, we caught a 9, 8, 7, 6. I mean, you name it, we caught it out of like a spot that's like as big as this room, maybe 2 rooms put together.
Yeah, and you'll tell me about that later, but
Yeah.
continue.
Well, long story short, that last fishing trip that we went on, I didn't know, but I knew I needed to go. And we went out, we did it, and then like drove back, and I had to work the next day. And, and now that I look back on it and I see the pictures of it, I was like, wow, that's the last time we went fishing, and it's just like, he didn't want the dog inside. My ex was frustrated about, and it was just like it was like it wasn't meant to be, but somehow we did it. We made it the best out of it. Went out and literally just caught 5 fish, 4 unders, 1 over, and then came back in. And that was the last time I went fishing. And that was one of those, was going to be 30 minutes turned into a couple hours. And we went and had a campfire, and so.
So if you do, like, what life lesson would you draw from an experience like that, looking back on that scenario?
If you got a gut feeling about something, just trust it. Something told me I needed to go fishing with him. My ex was like, hey, we're going to drive out there. You're going to drop me off, and I won't see you until the sun goes down. And she's like, I would like to, go do this or go do that. And I was like, yeah, no, I understand, but you got to understand, he wants to go fishing. Like there has to be a happy medium here. Well, we went, and then when we came back, we had a campfire and we cooked, and my dog was sitting there. My dog, oh my gosh, I got pictures of my dog. And
What kind of dog?
She's a Rottweiler pit mix, but she looks like a lab. Like, everybody's always thought she's a lab. She has webbed feet like a lab. And what's funny is when I'd take her out fishing, she loved fishing. Oh my gosh. She would sit right between my legs, like how when you're working the trolling motor, there's a little gap between your legs. She'd sit right there, and she'd be watching me. And
My dogs wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't.
If I make a cast, one of them tries to go in the water after it. It's just, he thinks it's a game of fetch. I tried teaching him early. He won't get over it. And then the other one just wants to be next to me too much and is not a fan of boats.
Okay. So it makes it
shaking
even tough.
the whole time. That's the Aussie. He likes being around me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that to him.
No.
He's shivering the whole time where I'm on the motor,
Yeah.
and then every cast I make, he thinks it's a command, and I'm trying to teach him this isn't a command. This is just what I'm doing. You can settle down. And I thought time would change that,
but it didn't.
No. But you mentioned something at the beginning of the story is kind of trust the gut feeling, and that's kind of what I noticed you did when I first met you at Athens. So tying into that story, to give a little bit of a background, is we were having an event out there, the Lunker Database, and they had a group of influencers who are anglers come out, and we were doing a tournament out there. So we sent them out. We're trying out their new tournament software, and anglers were able to report their catches. And for the ones who need it, because a few of these influencers were bank anglers, and some of them, I think one of them, it was their first time. Was it Garrett? Was his first time
Garrett,
fishing
the one
from a
I
boat?
took out.
Yeah, that's right.
6'7".
Oh yeah,
he's huge, and we're in the smallest boat. We had 3 of us, and
I found out at the end of the day that I was actually following him, and I was like, "You look familiar." And then, man,
he puts out really good content.
Very good content.
Yeah.
But we got to a position, or I overheard from the people running it that they had boat trouble that morning, and we have people coming from California, all over the place, to come do this, and now they were faced with the situation of, hey, you don't get to fish today, but that's the whole concept of why we're out here is to take everyone fishing, and man, I don't know how else to describe it other than just one of those God moments. You just show up. You walk in. And I'd love to get your perspective on the side of that. Like, what was going through your morning? And then when you walked in, realized where you were, and we saw it as, like, an amazing opportunity if you would be willing. And so tell us about, like, what was going on that morning.
So what had happened was a year ago, a goal of mine, it's a very lofty goal, but it's a goal of mine I'd like to accomplish at some point in my life, is to catch a share lunker bass.
Yeah.
And to anybody that doesn't know what that is,
I got that goal too.
Yeah. It's
been so close.
Oh, really? Well, you got a 12?
No, I'm only at a 1072, but I had a day out on Fork a couple weeks back. We were on this pattern where it was just producing big fish, like 8, 9, almost 10 pounders. And that pattern kind of went away. And I had my dad's friend out on the boat, and he knows nothing about live scope. So I was trying to tell it to him, explain what the marks mean and all this. And he's like, well, that's a big one over there. And I was like, well, here's how I distinguish between the carp. It was just a big group of carp. And this time carp were traveling in groups. So you could pretty much tell which one was a carp and which one was a bass. One, because of the size. And if you're going to see a 13, there's probably not 5 together for bass. It's not going to happen. And I just finished explaining to him how I go off of distinguishing what species they are and describing what I'd be looking for if I ever saw a 13. I swear, not 2 minutes passed, and I pan over to the right, and it was right in between 2 stumps, and I just see this giant return. And I said, kind of like this, but chances are that's going to be a bass. I told him, it was like 1 in, I don't know what the odds are. It's over 100,000. It's probably over like a million, 1 in a million. When you're talking about 13 plus pound fish. And he's like, well, how do you tell from this point? And I was like, well, you really just cast at it.
Throw at it.
And I threw my bait out to it, and I brought it by it, fully expecting this fish to dive down like what carp do. You know, they see it, they get spooked, they're gone. And the fish didn't move the first time. I was like, well, maybe I just missed it. And so I brought it back the second time, and I go past it, and I was like, okay, it's just a carp. He's bored, doesn't care what I'm doing. And he swims away, and he makes it about 5 feet, and he turns around, and he starts coming back my way. And I was like, okay, this could be. But obviously the bait I'm throwing's not drawing its attention. So I said, I have one bait that I can tell you if it's a bass or not when they get to that size, and it's a 9-inch glide bait. Nothing else is gonna
make it move.
Focus on this than a bass. I mean, I've had gar sometimes, but you know when they get to that size, what's going to be a gar and what's not.
It like hypnotizes them swim baits.
Oh my! And so I whipped that swim bait out there, and it was a perfect cast first time, and I bring it in. It went down to about 10 feet. My bait's coming over at 5 feet, and that fish just comes up, turns around, and tucks in right behind it. Is like right on it.
And you're like, oh, baby.
And I stopped breathing. From this point on, I stopped breathing. And so I'm twitching it, closes the gap, goes forward, closes the gap, goes forward, closes the gap. And I was like, and so there's a point at which you're like, I don't want to lose its interest. I don't want it to see the boat. You can take that gamble of bringing it all the way. Sometimes that's when it bites, but if it doesn't bite at that trolling motor, that's your last shot at it. It's going to see the boat. It's probably going down, or it goes underneath your boat, lights the shade.
And then
your odds are just astronomical, the probability of catching it. And so I decided to burn it back in. And I just started thinking, I'm like, what other baits do I had? I had a 4-inch minnow on like a glorified crappie hook. And I was like, this would be a pain to catch this fish on, but maybe cast it out, bring it by. It has no interest. And it's getting close to the stumps. And so I look around, and the only other thing I had was a 6.5-inch freeloader. Okay. And I'm looking how close it is to the stumps, and I'm looking, I don't have the right hook tied on for this. I was like, but I have a hook. And so I threw it on there. It hadn't committed to anything else. Whatever. Cast it out there, and it's down at 10 foot again, and I bring it up about 5 feet, and that fish turns up, goes around, gulp, immediately. Wasn't even a hesitation. And I feel the fish on there, and I paused for a second. I was like, this is not going to work, but whatever. And I kind of sat back, and I set the hook in it, and it just starts pulling off. It was like
break,
2 seconds. No, that hook is about this big.
Okay.
And the bait's about this big. So the top of the hook was coming out behind the eyes of the bait. There's no way unless it swallowed it, and that wire. Yeah,
real light.
It was what I throw like the 3-inch Sakamata on when I'm going for crappie.
Yeah.
But anyways, so going back to Athens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Oh, well.
Yeah.
The kind of fish you're talking about, it's a fish of a lifetime.
Oh, man. Yeah. I've only had 2 encounters like that in the 10 years I've been fishing.
I've seen one on Athens, without a doubt. I was going down. We were night fishing, and had my headlamp on, just throwing a whopper plopper, going down the bank, and we're catching fish, But something made me. I was going down the dam, like from left to right. So the open water was to the right of me. And something made me look to the right of the boat. Don't know what, just something made me look. Yeah. Well, I looked to the right of the boat, and I was like, wow, that's a big carp. Mm-hmm. And it was all by itself. And then the carp opened its mouth.
Yeah, that's when you know.
And my dad,
that's when you know.
I literally spotlighted it.
Because you're sight fishing at this point. No
at
electronics.
Nighttime with a, and I like looked, and I like shined right at it. And my dad's like, what are you doing? And I was like, shut up. And I was just like, and I moved it.
Which is a very appropriate response.
Yeah. And I'm just moving it in front of her. And oh my God. I mean, it was a teener. It was a teener. And what's funny is.
I mean, it.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
When you see them.
Well, when they look ginormous in the water, it's big.
Yeah.
Because I've caught like 5-pounders that I thought were 2-pounders, and it's like, oh, well, look at that, But no, to get back to it, so. Yes, so I went down to Athens, and I started doing this last year. I started getting serious with it. Every month, I would figure out when the full moons were. And I would take no credit of this my own. I learned this from Tactical Bassin. So
Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah, all that. Well, Matt Allen, he explains it.
Matt Allen, Tim Little. Gosh. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin.
Oh, man. Well, and the thing is he explained it. He goes, if you're a guy that works and you can't always get out on the water, and you wanted to narrow it down to 3 days, he goes, you need to be there the day before the full moon, and the day after. Yeah. He goes, that's when these big girls are going to be most prone to move. So last year, I started going down to Athens every full moon. So January, February, March. You can only go till March, so that's what I do. And it was awesome because what I would do is I would go and fish for 2-3 days, get it out of my system, and be able to go back to life, Yeah. And the first year I did it, I went down there with my boat. I talked with the Lake Athens RV, and they charge $10 to charge your boat overnight. And she told me, she said, okay, you can charge your boat, but you can't sleep in the park. So I would literally drop the boat, go into town, go eat something, come back, hook it up, and then pull into the parking lot and crawl into my van and go to sleep. And people were like, you're crazy. And I was like, well, I have a space heater, and it's I'm not going to lie, it's a good time van. So it literally has mood lights and a TV. I'm not by any means roughing it. You know? Yeah. So the whole reason why I was down at Athens at the end of the month was I was trying to catch a teener. And I was real stoked because at the beginning of March, I found an area that I'd never fished in before, and I found about 100 males on nests, give or take, And I looked at the geographic features of it, and I said, it could happen. I said, it could literally happen here. So at the beginning of March, the biggest fish I saw was like 9, maybe. I don't think it was a double, but I saw 2 females. I caught the first one. She was over 24 inches, but only weighed 6 pounds. I was like, that was a funny story. I found the male on the nest, and I was like, oh, he's pretty hot. So I flipped in there, and the male was like, 3-4 pounds, and I almost hooked him.
For the male.
Yeah, well, I almost hooked him. So I went around the cove, and then I came back, and I saw him, and I saw her. The females are always way darker, way bigger. Well, I saw her tail move off. I said, oh, there's a female there. Mm-hmm. So I went back around. When I came back around to the nest, it was real prominent. I went in there, and I watched the male peel off, but I'd already known where he didn't want it because I almost caught him. Mm-hmm. Well, I flipped in there, and I was watching him, and I see him coming back, and I was like, okay, let me make sure my bait's in the right spot. I look back at the nest, the female's on top of it. Literally looking at it, and all I did was just hopped it once, and she grabbed it, and oh my gosh, that was such a cool experience to see. Because when I set the hook, I fish a lot of times straight braid, and I hooked into her, and I knew all I had to do was hold on. That girl blew through
Took you for a ride.
10 lily pads, just boom, 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 busting them off. And eventually what happened, she got so tangled up in grass. Yeah. I was like, well, she's either in there or not. So I reached down and I grabbed her. And that's my big fish of this year so far. But the whole thing is I found this area and I knew that it could happen there. Well, hindsight 2020, the end of the month comes where I met you and everybody else. Those fish moved. They weren't there anymore, But to get to what you asked, so I knew through the grapevine that they were doing a big tournament out there on Saturday. I got there Friday. Well, I was waiting on my buddy that I think he felt sorry enough for me the year prior for sleeping in the van. He's like, well, you could just stay in my camper. He's the park host out there. Oh. So I took him out fishing not this year, but last year, and man, we got on some light fish, and oh my gosh. I mean, what's cool about fishing is, like you kind of hinted at, you can take the toughest, roughest guys, get them out there on a fish, and they turn into a kid. I mean, we were out there catching 5-6 pounders every other cast, and we just had a ball.
You mean like the green light fish?
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I figured it out. I thought I figured it out last year, but I figured it out this year. Yeah. And that's my little secret. I won't give it out. But no. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It's what I'm fishing with. Right. I told my one buddy, I said, buddy, I don't care if you post. You can post. Do not post what I'm catching them on. Yeah. Because nobody would think of that. Okay. And I figured it out through trial and error.
That's real stuff. You don't go share that.
No, well, and the thing was, is just like, But long story short, there was supposed to be a big tournament on Saturday, and I saw
Dabney,
yes, and I thought, well, I'm going out fishing. I would hate to catch a teener and not be in the tournament, right? So I was like,
and for context, the grand prize was $35,000. Yeah,
and an 18-year-old kid that is a stick.
Yeah,
he is a stick. I've known him since he was not even taller than this table. He's a stick. So
I passed him once, and he was reeling a fish in the 5.
Well, his grandpa runs the Tuesday Nighters out there, so he's been around fishing like his whole life. And like when we would bring in our fish to weigh him, he could tell you exactly what the weight of the fish was before it ever hit the scale. Yeah, and he's one of them kids that, like, honest to gosh, if
dialed.
Yeah, if he keeps with it, he'll be the next Van Damme or something like that. But anyways, long story short, I knew that tournament was going on, so I was like, well, I'm going to go give my money. So I saw the tent. And I thought, oh, well, like Mega Bass at Fork, they set up a huge tent. So I was like, okay, well, that must be the tent. Well, I walk in there and, say, hey, is this where you register for the tournament? And they said, well, actually, no, that's next door. Yeah. But what we're doing is a content creator. And I was like, oh, these are the YouTubers. That's what I was like.
YouTubers.
The YouTubers, I was like, oh, okay, And he disclosed to me, he handed me a little card, told me about the Lunker database, and I was like, oh, okay, And some reason he said, well, he asked, "Did you have a boat?" And I go, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we got like 6 people going out. Each person's taking 2 people, and we had a boat to drop out." And I said, "Okay."
Yeah, because it was past the point of registration at this time for the other tournament, and they're already out there.
Correct.
So
yeah. So and then I didn't even know. I was just
Yeah.
like, it was like $200 to enter. I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'm more like of a $20 big bass tournament type of guy.
Oh yeah.
So winner takes all. Type of person. But anyways, so he's telling me this whole story, and I was like, well, what would I have to do? And he's like, well, do you have a boat? I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to be fully transparent. I said, it's a 41-year-old Ranger.
Yeah.
She's temperamental. I said, I was like, if you feel comfortable, I feel comfortable taking out people, but I don't want you to get an impression like I have, like your boat, like the classic winning size boat. I'm like, this thing's a blast from the past. And he was like, well, if you're willing to do it, we'll provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we'll take you over to the hatchery. And I hadn't been to the hatchery since they redid it. Yeah. And that's where they take all the teeners. Yeah. So I was like, done deal. I was like, what? Do I have to sign the dotted line or something? So long story short, that's how I got into it. Totally lucked into it. Mm-hmm. And then the day comes, and I took out Tammy Kimmel, and I'm going to butcher Garrett's first name. I can't remember his last. He's Riverside Garrett. And he puts out great content.
That's probably the best way to refer to him for the
Riverside
listeners.
Garrett.
Yeah, Riverside Garrett.
So I took out Tammy and Garrett. So I told him, I said, well, I'm going to put the boat in at like 4 a.m. And they were like, you're going to do what? I didn't want to get in anybody's way. When you have a 41-year-old boat, she's 2-stroke, she's temperamental.
Totally understand.
Yeah, so you already know. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get out of everybody's way and put that there. So I took like 5 rods, so I left enough room for 5 rods for her, 5 rods for him. Garrett, it's so funny. He brought like 1 rod, maybe. I don't even know.
Simple guy.
Straightforward. Straightforward. He threw a 6-cent stroker crawl like all day pretty much. Well, I rigged up a couple things. I said, hey man, I got all these for you to fish with. So if you want something, you just let me know. Well, we went around the buoys. I got my rod out, deployed the trolling motor. Tammy had already thrown it once or twice, and I looked at Garrett. I said, Garrett, what do you want to fish with? He said, give me my rod. So gave him his rod. I'm not even lying. First cast, he catches a bass. Mm-hmm. And Rick is right there. I didn't even talk about that after I signed up for the tournament. I asked Rick. I said, what's your last name? And he said Cruz. And I go, I follow you. Yeah. I watch your stuff all the time. And he's like, he even talked about it. He was like, it's so weird that like we needed somebody, and then somebody showed up that already knew about us, and it's like it just all boom fell into place. Garrett catches a fish on his first cast. We were having issues logging it in. Rick walks out of the tent over to where we're at, and is like, "Y'all already caught one?" He goes, "It was my first cast," and he goes, "Looks like y'all got a pretty good guide for the day." Then I was like. I was like, all right, and that was my goal for the day. I wanted everybody to catch a fish. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get everybody to and from safely. And I told him, I said, we're going to pull over here first because I know we can catch fish, but I want everybody to get where they want to go. Right. Because I don't know how the boat's going to run. I said, if we jump up on pad and my motor starts yelling at me and I got to shut it down, I don't want to get ran over. Yeah. So,
especially on that small of a lake with how many boats were out there that day.
A lot.
I've never seen it that busy.
Yeah. But. Well, Tammy had that monkey on her back. She's like, I got to get a fish. And I said, don't worry, Tammy. I said, you're probably going to catch the biggest fish in this boat today. And we got back in this pocket, and she picked I don't know if it was a female or not, but it was like a 3.5 pounder. Nice, solid fish. Yeah. And she did. That was the biggest fish we caught all day. Now, I wish we would have caught like a 5. Yeah. But it just didn't happen.
There wasn't a lot of those out there. I know the other tournament found a couple decent ones, but a lot of them were marked the day before and picked up in the morning.
Levi caught them all is what happened. Yeah. Levi went around that lake and showed everybody what was up.
One of our anglers who represents Called the Cats, I believe they got second place. They started off the day with a 10-pounder, but they knew about it on a bed in practice, and they went out there, and he ended up his partner ended up sticking it like 30 minutes into the tournament.
Yeah.
And so we were actually going to interview him later that day, and I was like, now a good time? And he's like, no, sir, we are a half pound behind $35,000 right now, so we got to lock in. But
Well, and that's the thing is like Mega Bass always goes that way too, you know, like at Fork, there's always going to be somebody that knows where one's on the nest. And, you know, the fish you want to catch is that under, though. You want to find that 2.5 pounder, 2.5 to 3 pounder that's less than 16 inches, and that's your
money fish.
Money fish right there. Yeah. I mean, every year at Mega Bass, I've always seen it like half of them go to overs. The winner always goes on over, but half of them go to overs and half of them go to unders. And if you're one of them people that can hang on to that right fish and just weigh it in, then that's whatever it is, 15, 10 grand. That's just, it's crazy that a little green fish can
be that much money.
Yeah, well, it's just like take the Classic, for example. Like first time Jordan Lee won. I don't think it's like somehow he won. I don't even know. Like the first
He's one of the guys who won twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Back to back. He literally, I went to it at Conroe, and the first day he caught 3 fish. Second day he caught 4. The 5th day he went to his spot, and you want to talk about just like meant to be. He went to his spot and the big motor broke down on the spot. All he could do was fish in that one spot all day. I can't remember the baits. I think it was like a jig and a crankbait.
Yeah.
But they told him, they said, you can fish in your boat, and that's fine. But in order for you to get back and get your fish in, you have to get in someone else's boat. And once you step foot, you can't fish anymore. Yep. So all he did is he stayed there all day. And he knew that his boat ride was like, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes or whatever it was. And he stepped foot and he won the Classic.
Yeah.
Like I think I remember Brett Ayler was leading it.
Yeah.
And he lost by like ounces, you know.
Yeah.
And
so interestingly enough, when I followed Easton on Fork, which was the second time fishing with him and what began that friendship, which led to the boat.
Yeah.
I think it was day 1. He was actually he had a decent morning, but nothing that was going to put him in the top 10.
Yeah.
And he actually, he had engine troubles. I know it happened, but I'm not going to share with it.
Yeah, you're fine.
But he had an engine trouble to where it broke him down, and all he could do was go by trolling motor and fish this last pocket, and his 3 biggest fish of the day came out of that pocket.
Yep.
Which, there's got to be something, and I see this happen all the time, is there's coincidences that put us in the place like to where we're meant to be. And so the reason I refer to that is, do you feel like fishing had come along at a part of your life where it went from a hobby to something you see it as, more than just a hobby?
Oh, yeah.
It took on a meaningful aspect to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. So in my past life, I used to race bikes.
Yeah.
When I got out of bike racing, that was my everything. I mean, that's what we spent every weekend doing. You know, we just went fishing on vacation, you know. Now, I obviously really loved fishing, but we were bike racing. That's what we were doing. You know, we'd go
primary focus.
Oh, yeah. We went all across the country, and that amount of time that I got to spend with my dad, my mom, teammates. I mean, we've made some friends through that. Like tonight, I'm going to go to this service, and I'm going to see people that I probably haven't even seen in a decade. And we're going to pick up right where we left off, you know? And fishing is that same way. You know, you'll meet people out on the water like that had boat trouble or something, or pick up a kid that was just on the bank. You want to go fishing for a day, and they turn into a pro.
Yeah.
You know, so getting out of bike racing, I got hurt. I had a bulging disc, and I almost went paralyzed.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
serious.
Oh yeah, well it was. I had to find something else. You know, when I was in bike racing, oh man, that was just like my life was over. That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
You know, and then getting into fishing, it was like it just gave me a new spark. Started getting into fishing. Graduated from high school. First job out of high school, worked at Bass Pro. So that was a gateway right there. Got into fishing. It took me a couple years to get into the fishing department. Had to work in like Santa Land and at the snack cart. Oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah.
But got into fishing. That was where I was at. And then I actually left Bass Pro and worked at Academy Sports and Outdoors for a couple years. academy, I was into the fishing section, but I worked behind the gun counter, so I got to learn that whole side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just crazy how many things have been related to fishing. And it was just, I don't know, like it was the thing. Whenever I got out of bike racing, it's where I gravitated towards. And then I took it to the next level. You know, I was like, oh man, I want to get into tournaments and do this and do that. And, you know, and now I don't fish as many tournaments, to be honest, just because I just don't have the money to or the time to.
Yeah, it can get expensive very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, and these guys that do it for a living, they make it look easy. I mean, they're on the road 200 plus days out of the year, on the water, probably more days than they'll admit, you know. And I mean, for them guys to do it and stay in it, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. It's not only tough on them, it's tough on family life. I mean, personal life. You're out on that water. It's you and the water, you know. But, you know, I kind of was like, oh, I would love to be the next, you know, whoever, you know, like Kevin Van Dam or something like that. And I think with that type of stuff, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, you know. But all I know is that I love to fish. I love getting to teach people about fishing and take people fishing. And really, that's kind of where I'm at. I plan on becoming a guide. I got a boat that I'm working on. Have to get rid of my Ranger though. She's done her time. Yeah. You know, I was talking
Still
about.
got the original flasher on there, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that was funny. We were out fishing, and we were idling out to the buoy, and I got everybody the life jackets on, and we're literally like, I mean, we're touching each other. Like I put Garrett in the middle of the boat, and Tammy's over on 6'7" right there next to me, and then I put Tammy over there, and I was lucky. I was the shortest one on the boat because I was net man all day. You know, I was like, I got the net and boom, boom, so I could get in between them all. But we're going out to the buoys, and I was just sitting there like fiddling with stuff, and I turned the flash on. I was like, oh, look at that. It still works, you know? Yeah. And Tammy and Garrett were like, what is that? And I was like, oh, this is education moment. Well, to anybody that doesn't know what a flasher is, flasher was the first depth finder. Yeah. And it literally...
It's a relic.
It's a relic, but it does exactly what it says. It found the depth. Yep. So when you would look at it, it would have like 0 at the top, and then it was like, it had 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. And what it is when you turn it on, it has like this red light. I don't know how it works, but I know how to read it. Wherever the first light shows up, that's 0 feet. And where it pings up again is the depth that you're in. And in the video, I compared it to the actual depth finder that I have on the boat. It was only like a foot off, and it's 41 years old. And I was like, it's
reliable.
Still works today. It was a Lowrance. I don't even know the name. I should know the name, but literally, and how those guys would read it back in the day is they would turn it on and they would figure out where the bottom was, and anything between that and where 0 was could be fish, could be stumps, could be structure, whatever. And if they would drive over something and see it, then they would stop. They would throw out a marker buoy. People probably don't even know a lot of people don't know what a marker buoy is. I've got 3 of them on my boat. I just throw them over. There we go. Because when you're out in 10 foot or plus, unless you really know your graph, you need something visual to be like, there it is. You know,
can't just drop a GPS and let your boat orient itself, and it's like, oh, it's 10 feet that way.
It's 10 feet that way. So.
But you brought up like EMT. Yeah. You brought up having to walk away from a sport and a passion that you like. What environment did fishing bring to allow you to one, kind of get through the everyday of what you experience as an EMT? Because, it's a high-pressure situation. There's a lot of things that, some people, most people weren't meant to see, but, you were someone who volunteered to take on the roles and responsibility and expose yourself to some of life's most horrific moments. And then just... It's so tough to walk away from something that you feel you're called to do. Yep. Do you feel like fishing provided an environment in which made that transition away from those beliefs and where your mind was?
Well, and something I'll say, it's always been there. Yeah. Whether or not I always knew it, It was just always there. When I was bike racing, we did it in the summers. When I was doing cross-country racing, we did it on the weekends. You know, my ex, her dad was a huge bass fisherman, one of the best bass fishermen I've been in the boat with. That sucker he didn't need no graphs. He knew where the fish were. And I'm like, what are we doing? And he's like, shut up, you know? And I'm just trying to learn at the foot of the master here.
Yeah.
But no, fishing has just always been there. You know, whether it was bass fishing, trout fishing, cat fishing, I mean, and I think that there's something to be learned in all of it too, you know?
Absolutely.
The biggest thing that fishing has taught me is patience. I mean, you can go out there with the attitude, I'm not coming in until I catch a double digit.
Yeah.
I caught one almost 10 years ago now, and I haven't even gotten close to that, you know? And like, I've got this stupid joke with me is like, all I can catch is like 6-pounders and under. Like literally the biggest fish I caught this year was over 24 inches. It could not turn around in the live well. Literally could not turn around. And I weighed it on the scale, 6.00. I was like, this is a joke. I was like, this fish looks like it's every bit of 8, maybe even 9 pounds, but she was spawned out. So, but the thing is it's like, there's a quote, and I got this from Bass Pro on one of their doors or something, that a man went fishing his whole life to find out that it wasn't the fish he was after. Yeah. You know, being out there, you're in nature, you're seeing what's going on. You get, I think an issue that we have as a society, I think we're detached. You know, we're so detached, and fishing finds a way to reconnect you.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, and the people that you meet, the stories that happen, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, like just the other day, I was working with my buddy doing roofs, and we got an inspection or something, and he's like, "Hey, we should celebrate. Let's go fishing." You know, that's our. So we go to a pond, and I had just bought a new swim bait, and I was like, I want to go try it out, and I literally made one cast and caught like a 3.5, 4-pounder, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Well, we're going down the bank, and I got it stuck, and I always make the joke that, do you know why they call a swim bait a swim bait?
Why?
Because if you fish it right and in the right spots, eventually you'll have to go swim to get your bait. Well,
I've never heard that.
I could show you pictures, but it's me and my skimmies, so you know. But we're at this pond, and it's like in pub, and I was like, I know it's right there, and he's like, what are you gonna do? I said, you know exactly what I'm gonna do. I had long enough underwear on, so it wasn't like, you know, but I swam on out there. It was caught on fishing line. I went on out there and cut the fishing line and got it back, and he's just laughing. But I'm like, I mean, a swim bait's a swim bait. I just caught a fish on it. I'm like, I don't want to lose it. Exactly. You know, I was like,
they're not 99 cents by any means. So.
Well, I was taking him fishing. He's this dude. He don't even know. He's only been fishing a year, maybe a year and a half. First bass he ever caught was a 6.6. I said, dude, you're ruined. I said, you are ruined for the rest of your life. Well, I've talked him into throwing swim baits. Well, Walmart was getting rid of their 6-inch draws, and they're all gone now. So if you want to go get one, you're out of luck. But he bought one of those 9-inch glides, and we were over at Lake Bachman by Love Field, and I got it hung up. I was fishing it. I got it hung up on a log, and I could see it. I was like, well, it's not my bait. I was like, I got to go get it. Did the same thing. And, you know, it's just, we laugh about it today. Yeah. You're like, you remember when you went swimming? I said, yep, I know when I went swimming.
It's a sport that often creates so many good memories that when you say, like, when you reconnect with people that you haven't seen for a long time, a lot of times I find myself gravitating towards, hey, remember that moment? It's like, you can never forget it. There's something about the sport that just preserves
memories.
Not only the highlights of life, but unfortunately some of the low lights of like, man, that time I had that lunker and broke it off or bent my hook. And, you know, which brings me to the closing on this. Final question for you. Here at Called to Cast, for a lot of us out there, we feel like fishing's been placed, like there's been a reason it was introduced to our lives. You know, I share my testimony in other episodes. it's kind of one of those things that's proven that there's a bigger calling in it for me. I feel like it's my opportunity to whatever gift God has given me to be able to glorify Him through it, and that's what inspired me with a lot of service. What does the phrase "called to cast" mean to you, and have you resonated? Found?
Well, when I hear called, I always think of, people that called to the Lord, So the spin that you did on it with called to cast, it's like, I guess God made you a fisherman.
Yeah.
That's my take when I hear it or I see it, and through that, I'm a believer, and I don't necessarily always push it onto people, but I know, and my thing is like, I think with fishing, it gives you that retrospective. Well, who do you think made all this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think it's a happenstance that like all this stuff has just came together and everything lives cohesively together and, we're just passing through it, like with fishing, And so to me, I think of that when I think of your what you guys created. So, like I said, I mean, life's weird. I mean, it just is. But there's some things that are just always there, and fishing for me it's always been there. I mean, from a kid going fishing for brim, down in a creek, and just that interaction of fooling something into eating something that it knows it shouldn't, but you do it,
Yeah.
And the memories that you make with people. I mean, there's a lot of people that, like my dad and my grandfather are no longer here. And when I went to the spot where like they taught me how to fish, it was so funny. It's just a pond. It's a ranch pond. And
Some of the best.
Oh, you bet it. And the thing is like after working at Bass Pro and doing all this and acquiring all this tackle and the swim bait knowledge that I gained, I took that stuff to that pond. Dude, I could have had a stringer winning fish out of a lake, out of a pond. And the weird thing is I'm saying is like when I was there after my dad and grandfather passed, dude, I was throwing I think it was like a mag draft swim bait. And I'm reeling in like a 4-pounder. And you would think in that moment I would be so stoked, but I was just bawling my eyes out because the people that taught me to fish and all the stuff that I learned from it were no longer there. Even though I was reeling in this one of the biggest fish out of that pond I've ever seen, it just hit me that it's like, who would have thought all this would have came from just teaching a kid how to fish?
Yeah.
And I was that kid, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do now is being a guide, doing videos, whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to find that kid that's what they need.
Yeah.
They don't know they need it. Maybe it'll take 10 years to figure it out.
Exactly.
But I was that kid. Somebody took me, so I feel like it's my responsibility to just pass it on because everything.
It's not like the shoe fits every person, but when it fits the right person, it fits perfectly.
Exactly.
And it shows up at the time when you least expect it, and the opportunity of providing a space to where someone's looking for an outlet to be able to navigate, whether it's grief or a tough time and loss. I can't think of another sport that provides you that. And the reason I like the word cast, because the purpose of the cast is to put your faith in something that may not have been, which loops us back to the beginning of your story, is this may have not been your plan. You may have thought you knew where life was going to take you, where it was. But when you feel that intervention and you step into it and allow you to go down that path that seems to be carved for you, not only do you find the happiness of being in the right place, but you find an opportunity in which you're getting called to is like, I want to be a guide. I want to take the experiences I had, the things that you hold on to so much, and you want to give it to the right person. Because like you said, there's someone out there that this is going to help them through a season and probably introduce them to something they're going to be able to hold on to for the rest of their life.
Oh, exactly. Like the things that fishing has provided to me, not only from fishing, but opportunities just like this here today. I mean, if somebody would have told me, hey, you're going to be on a podcast in a week or two for, I'd have been like, yeah, right. But, and that's the thing is I'm just going with it. And if this is what he wants me to do, when I say he, the man upstairs, well, then I guess I'll just keep going with it.
It's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the lines tight. Keep fishing, man. Keep stepping into what you're called.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us today on the podcast. And a special thanks to those who have shared, subscribed, and sent us messages on socials. Those stories are what inspired this program, because it's not just about the biggest fish or the biggest moments. It's about the everyday angler and the impact fishing has on life. We'll see you next time.